morning, everybody. I'm Fred Steingraf. I'm the Lafayette Chamber Board President. I'd like to welcome you to Coffee with the Mayor. I would like to introduce Mayor Teresa Gerringer here. We will listen to the Mayor and her remarks. And as Holly said, if you've got questions, either raise your hand virtually or put a question into the chat, and we'll be sure to get to you. So, Mayor, it's up to you.
Good morning, and I want to thank everyone for getting up early and being on Zoom on this really beautiful day, except apparently where Kathy Merchant is. It's very and a blue sky.
You're just anti-Arinda, I know.
Yeah, and a blue sky over here. So yes, we have people from all over the region. So I'm excited to be here, and Holly did remind me that it will be brief comments by the mayor before we open for questions. I did want to provide a couple of updates on exciting things going on in the community. Our e-card has been a big success, and so I think I'll start right there. Through our ARPA program, which is being led by Vice Mayor Anduri and Councilmember Gina Dawson, and working with city staff, Thomas Myers, have been allocating the money that we received from the American Rescue Plan Act. And the first round of money has been pretty close. There's a little bit left unallocated, but pretty close to being fully allocated. And one of the programs that has been just recently launched is the Lafayette, the Shop Local, pulling over my screens here, the local e-card pilot program. And you will maybe recall that as part of that, the city council allocated $30,000 to be used in a matching gift card program for local businesses. And so we launched that on March 9th. As of, this is hot off the presses last night. First of all, we have 8 pilot businesses that are in the program, and they include Hank and Frank's Bicycles, the Lafayette Car Wash, the Lafayette Park Hotel and Spa, which includes the bistro and dining areas, and then the La Miranda Music, La Conda Positano, One Stop Shoe Care, Pillar Co-work, and the Rising Loafer Cafe, excuse me, and Bakery. And as of last night, we have are counting total sales of $30,500. We've expended just over half of the allocation, just at about 16,000, a little over 16,000. So we have about 13,000. And due to the popularity, the subcommittee is actually coming back to the council on Monday to expand the amount of money by $20,000 that we can allocate to add additional businesses. As I noted, we have 8 businesses in that program right now. We have 1 application that's pending. We had originally set the program requirements to be 10 to 11 Lafayette businesses. So we're reaching that, near that cap, and we'll be discussing this again on Monday. Businesses were identified through the Townsend Business Partnership program that we've had over the last several years through COVID. And I want to thank Thomas again for all the work. So as we're out using our cards, Thomas is tracking, what's happening there. So I will say that I used mine this week at the Lafayette Car Wash. And so if you're interested, I think Holly's going to put the link into how you too can get your gift card and support our local businesses. And so at the Yifty app. And so I'll check the links. There we go. So Holly and I have a tag team, and Suzanne Erla couldn't be here today. Our city staff are all at a management and department head session today, working on implementation plans for the goals that the council set. And so Holly has agreed to graciously keep up with the links to all of the exciting things going on. I think I'm going to save that one for last. So our, in addition to the ARPA funds and working on ways to support small businesses and the community. The council has a number of other things going on. I think that I'll probably mention these briefly at every one of our coffees with the mayor, but we are on Monday also related to businesses going to vote potentially to take action to enter into a resolution to extend for 1 year the parking and sign ordinances and allowing businesses to use private lots to continue the outdoor dining and retail experience. And so we're excited to be able to continue that. It's been a very popular effort or initiative born out of necessity, but has provided some opportunities in our downtown core for us to be out and about and reconnecting. And I do want to mention, speaking of reconnecting and being out and about, we were just talking briefly for those of you who weren't on a few minutes early about the social mixer on Wednesday at Pilar Co-work. And it was just so wonderful to see so many people that we've only been seeing in these boxes. I think this joke will get old, but I did have to find shoes and, you know, those kinds of things. But it was great to see everyone. So I want to thank the chamber for doing that and look forward to continuing to reconnect as we go. Actually, Holly's going to mention a number of opportunities at the end of this session. Also on the agenda on Monday is the staff will be providing an update. We had given direction on implementing AB 2923 that for those of you who aren't following along closely is a state law that requires us to upzone BART by July 1st. And it's going to happen no matter what. And so some of the decision there is, do we proactively do that and implement our own design standards? And so that we have some say in how all of that happens. And so that's coming back for a report. We'll be hearing from the police chief with his annual report. And I hope that all of you have been noticing that the chief has begun to implement a communication strategy that actually weekly, I think at the beginning of the month gives statistics, but throughout the month gives updates on enforcement and other things going on in the community. And so I, for one, appreciate that. The Parks, Trails and Rec Commission will be doing that. And then I see former Mayor Don Tatson on the call here with us today, here at Coffee with us today, and he's going to be providing an update on our county bus authority. He's our liaison. You don't really go away when you retire, from council positions, and so Don will be back to give us a report. Other things going on. I also saw the chair of the Transportation and Circulation Commission here, Carl DeGiorgio. They've also been very busy. Our tool design, I think I mentioned this last coffee, that we're having assessments done around all of the school sites for traffic and safety potential projects that we can do there to improve safety throughout all of our schools, which actually will impact on the whole community. And the first hearing of that report was at the last Transit Committee meeting. They're having another special session on March 30th so that they can come forward with some recommendations around Stanley Middle School, Lafayette, and Spring Hill for some short-term projects that the council can look at funding to move forward in the next several months. I'm not going to set dates because it makes Mike Moran our public works person, but they're pushing to have some things in place before the start of school in August of this year. The other things going on, and I see Matt Pease and want to thank Matt and the chamber for all of the input on the housing element update. The GPAC finished that phase of the work. They're not done. They committed to a 4 to 5 year volunteer job. Just going to keep noting the volunteer job. But they did turn over the housing element draft, including the opportunity sites that are now with the Planning Commission and including our EIR for that work. And that work will be coming to the council on May 9th and May 23rd, with the hope that we'll be able to submit the first version of our plan to the Housing and Community Development, HCD, by July 1st. We did push that back just a little bit, that goal date. We left ourselves wiggle room, but to allow a longer comment period on the EIR. And so the Planning Commission will be reviewing that again on Monday, April 4th. So you'll have an opportunity to weigh in on that. Lots of opportunities to weigh in on lots of things. And I was trying not to be the broken record, but you can find lots of information on the website, or you can receive as much as you want by signing up for our e-notifications on the website. One thing in city council activities that I just want to quickly talk about is that we did develop on March 5th, we recommitted to council priorities, which are our community priorities. We represent you. And we confirmed that we would stay with, because it's very important to all of us, wildfire prevention and preparedness and utility safety. Also improving pedestrian and traffic safety and multimodal mobility, basically bikes, transit, cars, every way that you can move around. And we also added, and this sounds like maybe we weren't doing this before, but of course we're very conservatively fiscally responsible. But we did determine that we wanted to put real focus on developing a plan for fiscal sustainability for short-term and long-term projects. As we have grown and new people have come in, we have shifted a little bit in our idea of what it means to be a low service community, low service, low staff. And people, we as the residents want more, I'm going to call them amenities, but some would call them requirements, sidewalks, lights, trails and paths from our neighborhoods into our downtown. So the last one of our priorities, and the one that's going to cause us to shift a little bit from our work on the general plan update, is the downtown, updating our downtown specific plan. With all it last was updated in 2012. And I bet everybody on this this coffee this morning, everyone in the boxes can look at ways that we've changed since 2012, that we are experiencing some growth, but will be over the next 8 years through our various planning processes, likely experience more growth. And so I want to thank Vice Mayor Anduri for bringing this forward, and City Manager Servatza for pivoting during our discussion while we were brainstorming about how to do this, but looking at having that vision for the downtown corridor that would include all of the Mount Diablo corridor, from Pleasant Hill Road to Mount Diablo, because as the housing element update is happening and those opportunity sites, we are expanding out, but to address that growth in a proactive way, so that we're not reacting to everything, so that we're anticipating for our new housing units, but also while still looking at making sure that we're not losing more commerce and more jobs in the downtown area, and looking at how all we're going to have growth, how we are going to accommodate that circulation throughout the community. So talking more about bike and pedestrian facilities and getting people from the neighborhoods, walking and biking and all of those things. So with huge thanks to our staff, we had a meeting the other day and developed a scope of work for that, and they're going to come back with everything else they have going on. They're going to come back with a plan that will also include how does GPAC, how do the current members of GPAC see their role going forward in this. So just a lot going on in the community, and looking forward to those discussions. It's really actually exciting because it's kind of visionary. It's a time when we've been talking so much about loss of local control and all of the mandates that we have. This gives us an opportunity to, re-engage again around how do we want our downtown to look, and how can we as a community come together to do that. And then other items, I was wanting to, wait until the end to end with something also exciting. Lafayette, in partnership, the Lafayette Community Foundation and the city and the chamber are working on bringing together the community on June 4th for Lafayette Community Day. And based on our records, Don Tatson can tell us if we're wrong, but we think this is the first ever Lafayette Community Day, where other communities have volunteer events, which bring different groups in the community, volunteers together to do good in the community, to do projects. And so we're currently, Jay Lifson, and Christine Raymond from Lafayette Social and also Lafayette Community Foundation. And I have been the steering committee where we have a request for proposals, very official, for projects that is going out as we speak to nonprofits and to city departments and commissions to look at different projects that will compile about 4 or 5 projects, and we'll do more depending on the number of volunteers. We'll start at Plaza Park and then kick off to go out to volunteer. And then we'll come back to Plaza Park for barbecue. And Jay Lifson will be personing the barbecue because, as you know, that's what Jay does. He brings us all together and then feeds us. So we'll be having a barbecue there in the Plaza Park. We have the Traveling Wilburys review. The first time I said that, I said the Traveling Wilburys and got everybody very, very excited, but I'm very excited for the Traveling Wilbury review. We'll have an opportunity for small businesses and nonprofits to have a small business fair there in the Plaza Park. The City Council has approved closing Golden Gateway for the duration of the event. And so I'm very excited about that as well. It's a great opportunity for us to come together and reconnect after the last couple of years, and it will be an ongoing event. And so just very excited. If you, I'm seeing links pop past in the chat, and you can get more information or let us know any ideas that you have at info@LafayetteCommunityDay.org. And a website is in the works and will be launching soon, and logos and all kinds of branding will be coming out very soon. There will be also other activities for people of all ages at Plaza Park. So if people don't want to go out, if people either don't want to or aren't able to for whatever reason, we will have some opportunities there close by to Plaza Park. And I'm going to copy and paste the email address because our website is not up yet. There we go. Okay, I think in my Reader's Digest condensed version of what's going on, that I've covered almost everything. Did want to just announce a few things. The Lafayette Community Foundation has extended their grant application until April 30th. And so for those of you who don't know, the Lafayette Community Foundation, in addition to raising the money for the Lafayette Library and Learning Center in partnership with all of you, with the community, has been doing grants, many grants for many years. So a little over $500,000, and I'm probably off on that number, but the grant application process has been extended, and I think we have a link for that. We started off with the e-card program. I encourage everyone to sign up for that. And then we have lots of opportunities for you to get involved. Remember, keyword, volunteer, commissions and committees that within the city. And so Suzanne very graciously provided the link to that. And then also transportation, La Miranda, CCTA, and our local groups are working on updating our transportation action plans. And so there's a link for that as well, for you to be involved and provide input on that in your spare time, because I know that all of you are all very busy as well. So I think I will take a breath and we'll open up for questions.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Gerringer. We've got first question here from David Clark in the chat regarding anticipated downtown growth and update. Do you anticipate that city staffing will have to increase to meet the anticipated growth? And if so, should we also be addressing how do we do that, given that it's been difficult to maintain staffing levels currently?
Thanks, David. So first of all, the last part of that is very true. We have a number of, and I actually had it on my list to potentially mention and said, well, I don't know if that's key here, but we have already approved, the council approved for this budget cycle, 2 new staffing members in the planning department and in transportation. And we have vacancies that we are trying to fill. And so I don't right at this moment know how much additional growth may come out of that over the years, but that's one of the things that we want to look at in that fiscal sustainability plan, is how do we provide everything that we need to provide. As David knows, right now the way we do it is, and Lafayette has been a contract city since, I mean, Don Tetson and Carl and others I know can speak more to this, but we have tried to, keep our staff size small. But what we have done in the last couple of years is bring in consultants. And so we contract with consultants to come in and help support that. Of course, that's another thing staff has to manage, but it does help to expand that. So we have increased staffing. We are having difficulties, just as many of our neighboring cities are, filling those positions, but we are actively recruiting to fill those positions. But thank you, that's a great question.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for the mayor? Let's see, I'm looking for hands up in the windows or anything in the chat here. Looks like Jay's got a question. Go ahead, Jay.
Thanks, Fred. Good morning, everybody. First of all, regarding the traveling Wilbury, the reason that people look at you funny when you say that is that half of them are dead now.
Yeah.
They never performed live, so this will be the first time for all of us to see the review. So a couple of questions for you this morning, Teresa. The first one has to do with the upcoming election. On May 3rd, the Lafayette Chamber and a few others, along with DVC, are going to be putting on a webinar with a panel discussion on public safety. And we'll be having the candidates for DA and for sheriff answering questions during that time. And that'll be coming out right before the mail-out ballots go out. What do you see as the big issues for them to be considering as it relates to Lafayette? For me, I've been hounding the DA's office and others to give us some direction and support on these smash and grab crimes that have been happening, and they haven't stopped, and they're probably going to continue for a while. And I think it's from a public safety standpoint, we need some help for businesses and for the residents as well in what to do in that case.
I think you answered your question, but no, I mean, I think that, first of all, thank you for doing that. I have to get that on my calendar, but I do think that there has, first, I want to step back though and say that and I don't know if he's on the call, this is not gratuitous, but our local police department under Chief Aldred, I think are amazing. And I think that the work, and if you follow those statistics that he's been putting out now, you'll see that they are working with the resources that they have to try and make sure that our businesses, our residents, everybody is, safe and protected. But I don't know what a solution specifically is for the smash and grab, but definitely having that additional focus and asking those candidates what their ideas will be for that. I know that there has been a lot of frustration on the part of the partnership with the Sheriff's Department and the district attorney relative to taking cases. So once there are arrests made and taking those cases and bringing them through to through the whole process and bringing them through to some actually having people held accountable. The other thing is that at the state level, there are certain laws, and I'm going to forget the number right now, but proposition, which has limited what our local law enforcement and our local district attorney and court system can do in terms of the amount of money that you can actually be arrested for up to a certain point, and nothing is really going to happen with that. So I think that another question for them would be what sort of advocacy with our legislatures and at the state level would be important on that. And I look forward to learning more about what their positions are and what they can do at the session.
Great, thanks. Sticking with the law enforcement for just a second here. So there have been a couple of new bills that have passed at the state level, have been signed, that have to do with COVID. And now that California has moved from pandemic to endemic. And what's interesting is that when it comes to enforcing the COVID rules, it now is officially charged to our local law enforcement officers. And so, during the last 2 years, there were lots of decisions that were made at the state level or at the county level, and law enforcement had no seat at the table. They were making determinations and saying this is what you can do and can't do, and it was expected that they were the ones that were going to enforce it, and they had no resources nor really any interest in doing that. Where do we stand with that?
I'm going to actually say that I don't know exactly. But I know that it has been frustrating, and I believe that most of our local law enforcement, and particularly here, was done through education rather than enforcement. And I know Jay, you spent a lot of time keeping up with, excuse me, with the county health department and state orders to make sure that businesses knew exactly what was being asked of them, required of them, and trying to make sure that people were following that so that they, didn't get. At the county level, there was enforcement around, when masking or if weren't checking for vaccination cards and things like that, that there was a code enforcement component that unfortunately for some businesses ended up with them not being able to operate indoors because for whatever reason, staffing restrictions, views about the requirements caused them to lose their permit for several days. So there was enforcement on that level, but I know this has been a frustrating place for small businesses over the last several years. And hopefully, as we're moving forward, those restrictions, as they're easing, if you will not come down as much on our police department.
Yeah, and the reason that
I need to look at the bills, I'd love for you to share with me any new bills, because I thought that as we're shifting out, I know that there's a couple of bills coming forward on requiring vaccination and things like that, but I didn't see the small business ones. So I'd love for you to share that.
And the reason I ask is because we've been down this road before where things seem to be okay, but there's just as good a chance that we're going to be right back in the thick of it, where they will have to go ahead and create new rules and so on. And it's really the more times we do it, actually the harder it gets on businesses, because there's more resentment or confusion for the public. Last question from Jay, and this is going back to GPAC. So now that the GPAC has given the Planning Commission, their housing element recommendations, it seems that there's going to be sort of a battle royale on where these units are going to be placed when we give this to the state. And I know that there's lots of people that live on the West End that don't want anything built on the De Silva property, which for those of you who don't know is the beautiful green area that's next to the Lafayette Reservoir across the street from Oakwood, or building on the Deer Hill corridor, which would be an incredible burden on traffic and safety. So where do you see that going?
First, again, I want to thank the GPAC for all of the work that they did. They addressed a lot of the questions that that Jay, you were just talking about. And the way that the opportunity sites currently, and I did not watch the Planning Commission meeting because we had a council meeting on Monday to see where their discussions were, but is that there are the opportunity, De Silva is an opportunity site. The BART station is an opportunity site, and Deer Hill corridor was taken out of the opportunity sites that GPAC sent forward. And I want to again thank all of the GPAC, but Matt definitely stood up, for chamber and for small businesses to make sure that it wasn't just all put in areas where, as many of you know, on the East End, there's already by right housing ability. And so we've lost some businesses in the corridor, and it may be the whole corridor, but I'm still reviewing all of that and still trying to figure out how to make that work before it comes to Planning Commission. And so look forward to those discussions. But where they are right now, with what GPAC sent forward, there are a lot of reasons that I think that that's a good opportunity, a good set of opportunity sites that are coming forward. And I'm trying not to be completely political here, but I'm still trying to be open until the vote comes to us, while recognizing all of the opinions around all the sites. And there's some folks who think that we didn't go far enough in looking at our EIR and looking at other areas to come out of that, downtown corridor a little bit. So what I do predict for this discussion is that we're going to continue to hear from all of the residents, and then put forward, hopefully by July 1st, draft housing, approved housing element by the city council that HCD will actually accept. Because the big thing is not just the balance of what we as Lafayette residents, want to look at and where we want to put that, but it has to be viable in this, that housing will happen in this 8-year cycle. And so with kudos again to staff, GPAC, our consultant, Diana Elrod, and trying to follow all of the new criteria that have come in for this cycle of the RENA and the housing element update. I think that we're getting to something that we will be able to present and believe that it will meet all of the requirements. But remember, it also then HCD has 90 days to come back to us. We then have to go through again, well, what they're not accepting this, how do we reallocate those units? So not that we all are sleeping, breathing, and all of this all the time, but I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there with those requirements that we want to also protect jobs. And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to the chamber. I mean, we definitely want to protect that downtown core and the businesses that are so critical to who we are as a community. And I saw that Cheryl McDonald asked for there you go, May 3rd. Okay. So can I call people, or Fred, you want to?
Sure, we can do whichever way you want to do it.
So Deborah's had her hand up. Hi, Deborah.
Good morning. I have a question about two things. First of all, do you need to be to live or have a business in Lafayette to be on the a committee or board?
Oh, I see David Clark has his hand.
I live in Alamo. That's why Alamo's not a city, so
Yeah.
we don't.
In the
we don't-
unincorporated.
That's why I'm at.
Actually, that's a very good question. I will get the answer to that. Well, actually, Larry Blodgett has his hand up and he's been here. And I bet Don Tatson can answer it too. I bet there may be some committees, but Larry, go ahead.
There are some committees that do not require you to be a resident. You do have to be a resident to be on council, planning commission. I don't believe you have to be a resident to serve on design review, and I'm certain you don't have to be a resident to serve on the banner advisory. Those are just ones that I've been associated with. So I'm not sure about the other ones. Your best bet is to check with Joanne Robbins, the city clerk.
Joanne Robbins. Okay. City clerk. Okay. Okay. Her information is somewhere I can find how to get in contact with her.
I put
the city,
myself on.
the city's website.
The city's website. Okay. And the next question is Lafayette have any plans to build like a community center, with a pool, classes, or where seniors, or not just seniors, but just people can go to swim and take classes?
So I personally have not heard of any plans to do a pool. We do have a community center that has lots of classes and lots of programs for all ages, but not specifically a pool. We have a fabulous pickleball court out at the community center, and lots of opportunities for different programs and to learn different things. And I can also put that, I'll find the link to that, but on the city, you can find the link to our Parks and Rec department, who are also going to be giving an annual update on Monday at our meeting, if I didn't mention that. But no, and I'm looking at the vice mayor. Currently, I do not believe we have any plans for a pool.
Okay, because the only community center I guess I knew about was what used to be Jewish Community Center long ago by Rossmore.
Right.
Now I don't know what it is. So.
And yeah, I know that closed down, but our community center is out on St. Mary's Road, and it does not have a pool. And
Okay.
And I'm even trying to think of where the closest public would be, but YMCA at Pleasant Hill maybe, but.
Yeah, and that's the only one I know about. That's why I'm asking, because it's.
Does Acalanes High School open their pool to the public during the summer?
They have a LMYA swim team is there, and I don't believe that they have community swimming there.
Yeah, the only place, I know Oakwood Gym has a pool, and they do rent it out to the local swim teams, which means they don't really have time or space for anyone that's a member to really take like water exercise classes. And that's a much needed thing for especially older people with arthritis and things. So that's why I'm asking about it, because the only place I know is Pleasant Hill. So it would be nice if that were on the agenda.
Oh, Cheryl McDonald is saying Heather Farms as well. But thank you for coming, Deborah, for coming and having coffee, and for being, an active neighbor. And so there are links in the chat that show you how to find out about committees and commissions in Lafayette.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Larry,
Deborah.
Oh, Deborah, thank you.
Deborah, I was just with Sara Regan from the chamber as well. I was going to say, you can also check out the Soda Center at Camp Lindo. They have open swims at a couple different times. So it's the
Great.
Soda Center at Camp Lindo High School. So you can go on, I think if you look up Soda Aquatic Center, you'll get some information.
Okay.
And someone else was pointing out, in addition to pickleball, we have petanque. And that's been there for a while at our community garden, community parks, community center. We have a community garden too, but at the community center. Larry Blodgett.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple questions going back on crime and safety. Has our police department been responding at all to the folks that are going into the grocery stores and walking out with full carts? The the corporate has told their employees not to engage. I've heard conflicting information that those reported and that our police department responds, but I don't think I've seen that. I know that if you go to certain, I think Safeway in Martinez now has armed guards, and I believe maybe even the Safeway in Alamo, if I'm not mistaken, may also have some additional security, but Lafayette does not. And my wife and I have both witnessed on numerous occasions people walking in with and either taking bottles of wine or walking out with entire full carts, and the employees just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, yeah, this person's done this before. They do it on a regular basis. Is our police responding to that?
Larry, I don't know. I haven't seen it on the input that Chief Aldred has brought up, and this is the first that I'm specifically hearing about it at the Lafayette, at our Lafayette stores. And so,
Okay.
I
mean,
follow up on that.
I realize that there's a dollar amount that they can't they can't make an arrest, but at least be a presence and at least approach these people and saying, you know what you're doing isn't right. I can't do anything about it, but maybe that will deter some people. I don't know. So that's number one question. Thank you. Number two, regarding housing. Number one, is the city having any success with going back to the state on being able to charge developers more for improving our infrastructure as part of their applications? My understanding, there's been a ceiling on that, and I didn't know if there's been any progress with being able to have the tools. If we're going to be forced to put in housing, then the funds need to come from somewhere to improve our roads, drains, and other utilities.
So part of the work that we're already doing, and staff has it on their work plan, is to do those a nexus study for the impact fees. And also as part of the downtown specific plan that we're going to be moving forward with, and staff's going to be coming back, looking at those impact fees and where we can increase them in overlays or in areas on development. We as a city are looking at that and are planning for that, but you're right, there are a number of laws that are coming forward. And so we're also on our legislative action committee and platform looking at any of those bills that come up and where we as a city would advocate for those. And so not specific right now examples of where we have been successful or not successful, but we are moving forward with looking at where we will have impact fees to help address infrastructure.
Okay, and then I have two other building related questions. I've been kind of watching, not super closely. It doesn't appear as though there's been any new housing projects proposed really since the start of COVID. I haven't seen study sessions or anything like that. Are you aware of any projects that are kind of in the wings?
I think you asked this last time too, so
I did.
I know,
and I'll keep asking.
and keep asking. So I do know that there are a couple of sites that are in maybe conversations about, potentially submitting plans for that, but I don't, have the specific list beyond what is on our website on what's coming across the planning department.
Yeah, I get asked about El Charles site almost weekly, and I don't know.
And I have not seen a specific plan related to that. So I
And then
probably the same conversations you have.
My last question is, I realize when we're looking at our housing and potential sites for housing, my understanding is that it ends at Pleasant Hill Road. And I know this is sacred ground, and I'm not suggesting it, but the mayor's school, which is owned by the Lafayette School District, that seems like a piece of property that potentially could be redeveloped into housing, whether it be single family or whatever. But it's the district hasn't touched it. I know they're putting it kind of in reserve, but if we're just supposed to show potential housing sites, was that ever brought up in discussion?
Not in this. let's put it this way. The White Pony, the mayor school comes up in discussions around housing and housing for teachers and others, and has come up over the years from when I was on the school board to now. I don't believe that it was specifically discussed because we were keeping everything up along the corridor. And in our discussions about the EIR and what to study, that area was not in that discussion. But the White Pony does come up, and Larry, you pointed out that over the years, the school district has held on to that, because also there are and regularly discussions about how the growth will impact the school enrollment. And so it's hard to get back once you do something with it from a school board perspective. So anyway, but it's on various lists when people look at it, but not on this opportunity sites.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm actually, I just want to say, I'm okay saying I don't know, but I'm getting a lot of things to find out about and to learn. And so thank you for the piece about the people walking out a Safeway with carts. And so other things that this is the first that I had heard specifically about it in Lafayette. So thank you. David Clark.
Thanks, Mayor. I wanted to follow up very briefly on Jay's question and your response to the what effectively was the final vote at GPAC with respect to downtown versus the De Silva property. And Jay, the way that was framed, that last vote, and there are other folks on the call that please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong or add to it, but it was basically was framed, we can upgrade the zoning in the downtown corridor, particularly on the north side of north side of Mount Diablo Boulevard, or we can include the De Silva property. And the advantage of not upgrading, of upzoning on the north side of Mount Diablo Boulevard was that might hopefully be an incentive for businesses to be able to continue to develop there or stay there, as opposed to that area turning over more than it has been or could be to housing. So it was, from my perspective, it was kind of a lot went into this, or lots of votes that came down. You can't say that's not the one straw, whatever. But that was the way that was framed, so that the parcels along the north, I think it was 1, 3, and 5. But anyway, the parcels along the north side of Mount Diablo Boulevard in downtown were not upzoned, whereas De Silva was included. And I think that's what went forward to the Planning Commission.
Yeah. Thank you, David, on the specific detail around that discussion. Yeah. And very much about business community and where we were placing opportunities for businesses. So any other questions?
Looks
Hi,
like
Tracy.
we've got one.
Welcome, Tracy. Oh, I did want to note, I don't know if Deborah is still here, but I received a message that Camp Alindo High School does have some public swim opportunities as well.
Forgive me. Good morning, first of all, and thank you. It's nice to see you and nice to see everyone. I was curious, you mentioned something about impact fees in downtown. Could you explain a little bit more about what that actually entails?
So when and I'm going to be kind of up here, when a development application comes in for a new development in the community, well, throughout the state for new developments, there are various fees that are paid. Some of them are put in by the city. Some are water districts, fire, all of those things. Some specific ones in Lafayette relate to park fees, our public art. There's a fund that goes for that, a requirement for that, and Vice Mayor Anduri can probably name them all off, but it's basically just those. And then the school districts get fees for impacts on growth. So there are development fees related to the schools, and it's basically, it has to do with what's the impact of the project on the community. And arguably, at the state level, when our legislators have been looking at this over the last several years, there are some people who like to make a case that some of these fees are a barrier to having to approving development. And so that's where Larry was talking about the state looking at and implementing laws to cap or restrict. I know that a number of our senator has done a lot of data gathering over the last 5 or 6 years that he's been in office to try to really understand it. And so it's a combination of what communities put on and then also what other special districts and agencies put on to provide services.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I thought it fell within that,
Yeah,
public art, public benefit discussion that, we're all aware of.
Yeah.
But I just hadn't really heard the term impact fees. So
Yeah.
thank you.
and our park, the park fund that we have is very key to being able to, provide the additional parks and recreation opportunities as
Right,
well. So
Right.
we do want to make sure that we're, and the fire, and we just want to make sure that we're accounting for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheryl, welcome.
Earl, looks like you're still on mute there.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. Yeah, Cheryl, we have you on mute.
I should know how to do this now.
There you go. I was going to say, while she's unmuting, I want to thank Cheryl for coming to almost every single meeting that we have in Lafayette. Good morning.
Morning. I just wanted to say that Heather Farms has a really great program for seniors, and the Aquanets have shows there, and there's a lot of good swim programs for swim lessons and all that. So
Great.
Heather
Thank
Farms
you.
is another really great resource. And Jay, thank you so much for asking about the thefts at Safeway. They're often at night. They lock if you're looking at Safeway, they lock the right door, which is where the alcohol is, but they just stroll right across and leave. As a matter of fact, they're not even running anymore. So thank you for bringing that up, Jay. It's usually like it happens at night. I've seen cops there occasionally sitting there, but they're not there enough. I don't know how to resolve that issue, but thank you for bringing that up, Jay.
No, yeah, thank you to Jay and Larry. That is something I'm going to follow up on. And you did see, Cheryl, that it's the May 3rd, but they don't have, I think, wait, going back up. Yeah, May 3rd. Yeah.
That'll be a really interesting dialogue. I hope it's that we all, that gets out. Maybe at the council meeting, you could bring that up.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good for us to watch. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you again for your input and for following along on the meetings.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions for the mayor this morning? No? Okay, well, I'm going to turn it over. Well, first of all, I'm going to thank the mayor for her time this morning. This has been great. And everybody who's participated in this. This is always a great venue to learn more about the city of Lafayette. So I will turn it over to Holly now. She's going to give us some updates on upcoming events, and wishing you all a very happy weekend.
Thank you, Fred. If you do not hear, Fred Steingraff is our 2022 Lafayette Chamber Board President for this year. So we will most likely see him continue with our Zoom coffees and at our future chamber events. Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's so wonderful to have you at all our events. I know we're working hard this week. We did have a mixer on Wednesday night. We have a Citizen of the Year event tonight and a ribbon cutting tomorrow. And I just want to mention a few other things. A handful of years ago, we were looking at many empty storefronts in downtown Lafayette. And after 2 years of the pandemic, I think we can all look around and be amazed by our local businesses. One of the key people who really spearheaded the revitalization from the ground up and brought pop-up to our vocabulary was Jennifer Perlmutter. She was our 2020 Business Person of the Year. Her and her amazing art have now moved to Carmel. Today and tomorrow are her last 2 days in Lafayette. She'll be open today and tomorrow from 12 to 4. So I suggest, stop by if you can. the last days of JPG at the bank and say thank you. She has touched and helped so many in our community, and she will be missed. One of the newest businesses to open in Lafayette is right around the corner from the Jennifer Perlmutter Gallery. The Lafayette Chamber will be attending the grand opening of Sculptology tomorrow morning, Saturday 26th. It's from 10 to 12. They are a medical aesthetic practice devoted to perfecting the art of non-invasive body and facial contour. Our ginormous scissors will cut the ribbon after some short speeches about 10:30. Everyone is invited. Come learn what Sculptology is about. They are in Lafayette Square, right next to Formula 3 Fit and Harper Greer. The Chamber is excited to announce that we'll be hosting our Taste of Lafayette restaurant tour on May 17th. Tickets will go on sale by Tuesday. They always sell out, so be prepared. And on May 17th, we'll have about 550 people touring probably over 20 restaurants in our downtown. Last year, we did have it in June. Again, another sellout, stellar event. Everyone's glad to see each other and experience our restaurants. The Chamber and our community partners and members are gearing up to host a variety of other community events. There's a Lafayette Juniors Lifestyle Tour. There's an Earth Day Festival. Llama and the Wine Growers is having an event. The Chamber tries to promote all these events through our email blast. We have a art community email blast and a nonprofit email blast. And you can sign up for those monthly emails on our website. Our Rock the Plaza concert series will return, yay, Fridays in June. And those are on our website as well. On our call today, we've heard from Jay Wilson. He's our executive director. Sara Regan is our membership director. I'm Holly Sonne, the communications director, and our fourth staff person is Linda Carlson. She's our office manager. Any of us are here to answer any of your questions. Feel free to reach out. Our next Coffee with the Mayor is scheduled for Friday, May 27th, and we are planning to continue on Zoom. So look for a registration in the next few weeks. Thank you again to our Mayor, Fred, Jay, and for all of you joining this morning.
Great. Thanks, Holly. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
all.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks. See some of you tonight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.